Hello, my dear friends and colleagues. My name is Lily Robbins, and I would like to tell you more about NeuroGraphica and offer a session to follow along to actually experience NeuroGraphica for yourself. Many of you who have talked to me know I'm deeply passionate about this method, and I would love to share it with you as well. So what is NeuroGraphica? NeuroGraphica is a highly effective method of personal development. It helps us to work with our objectives, our hopes, and dreams. It lies on the intersection of neuroscience, psychology, and art. When we draw NeuroGraphica, we create new neurological connections in our brain. We create new impressions, we experience new emotions. We basically engage with our subconsciousness and rewire our brain. Through working NeuroGraphica, we find ways to achieve our objectives in new, non-linear, creative ways. It's very beautiful as well. Let me switch the camera and I'll show you more. Here are some of the examples of my recent drawings. This is what it looks like. Always different. Always very personal. Here you go. So what do we need to get started? Let's do the supplies first. So in order to draw NeuroGraphica, you need a drawing paper. It's slightly thicker than usual printing paper. So then we draw with a permanent marker. Sometimes I use Sharpie, sometimes some other brands. Basically, it's a permanent marker, dark in color, and it's fine point. So it basically looks like that. And we need colored pencils. Not as many as I have, just any colored pencils. The softer the better. I am slightly obsessed with the supply, so you can tell. Next. So NeuroGraphica is abstract art, and we use NeuroLine when we draw it. NeuroLine is a line that does not repeat itself on any interval of its movement, and it goes where we do not expect to see it. So if I were to break it into the equal intervals, I would see that it does not repeat. In comparison, for example, I could show you something like this or something like this. This is not NeuroLine. This is a pattern. This is a pattern. This is even worse because it has this mental loops that causes us to go in circles. So NeuroLine, the line that doesn't repeat itself on any interval of its movement, and it goes somewhere where we do not expect to see it. So we expect to draw it with a little bit of resistance. So when we draw a NeuroLine, we think about it, right? And change the direction ever so slightly so that we would create a way that is no longer a pattern, something new. Another aspect of NeuroGraphic is that we use shapes, and we use circles, squares, and triangles. When we begin drawing NeuroGraphic, I recommend we use circles to begin with, and then later on, once you become more advanced practitioner, you can start using squares and triangles. The reason is the circle is the perfect shape. It represents balance, harmony, energy, wholeness, safety. When it comes to square, it represents stability and consistency. However, it could also represent lack of development, routine, feeling of getting stuck. The triangle is very, very active shape. It represents movement, action, and if it's too much of it, it could represent conflict. Therefore, we're very, very careful with our subconsciousness in NeuroGraphic, and therefore we'll start with circles. Another aspect of NeuroGraphica you need to be aware of is that we use neuropattern. What is neuropattern? When we draw our lines, at some point they start intersecting, and we create these intersections. Our subconsciousness treats intersections as conflicts, and therefore we round every single intersection and send messages to our subconscious mind that we can overcome any difficulties. We smooth it out and we transform it. There is another rule in NeuroGraphic, is that unless you round all of the intersections, you cannot abandon your drawing. Otherwise, you can create a message that there was an obstacle, there was a problem, a conflict, and I could not resolve it. So you can practice a little bit. The common mistakes I see people do with the pattern, with rounding up, is that, for example, they do something like this. And this is not a pattern. Pattern needs to be very smooth, rounded. Another mistake that I see is when people draw circles like this. This is not a neuro pattern. It needs to be rounded. It is important to mention that when people draw NeuroGraphica, they frequently experience resistance. And resistance could be internal or external. Internal could be all of a sudden you start feeling bored, or you have a headache, or your hand starts hurting, or you're thirsty or hungry and you need to get up and do something. External could be that all of a sudden people you haven't talked to in forever start calling you, your family needs to talk to you, your children are hungry or thirsty, and everyone needs your attention. So be aware of that before starting your NeuroGraphica session. Let your loved ones know that you need some space and time for yourself. Just set the expectations and just be aware of it, because when you start experiencing those resisting moments, just be aware of it and move on and keep going. It's very normal. Another aspect of NeuroGraphica I would like to point out is that it's a highly reflective practice. When we draw NeuroGraphica, third person, we always pay attention to what we see, and you'll hear me asking you, so you drew a shape, what do you think about, is it big, is it small, how would you like it to be? I will frequently ask you about your feelings and emotions. Also, we'll be paying attention to our body. How does your body feel? How is your temperature? Pay attention to your breath. You will discover a lot of things that you normally don't pay attention, but all of a sudden you start. And lastly, what do you think about all of this? What is the meaning that you assign to a certain aspect? So highly reflective, be prepared to pay attention to what you think, what you feel, what your body feels, and what are the meanings that you assign to that. All right, and now that we have covered the basics, we could get started. As I promised, that this session is specifically for my dear beloved Purpose to Impact alumni, and we'll devote this session to reconnecting to our purpose. In NeuroGraphica, we always draw with an intention, with an objective, with a topic. It's not just random drawing to just stop thinking. In fact, it's just focusing on something that is important to us, something we would like to achieve. And today we'll do the reconnecting to purpose. I suggest you take a piece of paper, or maybe on the other side of your drawing pad, you'll write down your topic. And we'll start with actualization of our topic. We need to kind of wake our subconscious up. And we usually start with writing for 2 minutes. It's a free writing. I'll put a timer on for 2 minutes and invite you to spend those 2 minutes writing anything that will come to your mind. It could be any part of speech. It could be random words. It could be sentences, whatever will come. We do not filter ourselves at all. We just let our subconscious wake up. So we start with writing the topic. So the topic today is reconnecting to our purpose. I also recommend you write your purpose up here so that you've also put it front and center. I'll write mine as well. And I'll put up the timer. The idea is for us to get to at least 20 words. If there is a less number of words that will come up, it means that we are very controlling in a way. We do not let our subconscious loose, and we'll need to do another 2 minutes or another 1 minute to get to the number of words of 20 at least. So I put the timer on. Again, you write anything that comes to your mind, unfiltered, free writing, anything that comes. Let's get started. And finish up your words. And stop. Now take a look at your words, count them up to see whether you have 20 or more. I have more than 20. So now take a look at them. And first of all, check in with yourself. How do you feel right now? What emotions are prominent for you right now? How do you feel in your body? Take a look at the words. Are there any words that are surprising to you? What kind of emotional coloring of your words? Is there anything that is particular positive, particularly negative? Any words that repeat? So take a look at that. And now that you've kind of woken up your subconsciousness, make a note to yourself about how you feel. Nothing, you don't need to write it anywhere. Just check in with yourself and just say that I feel a certain way in my body. I feel a certain way. This is our starting point. Now you can put your words away and we'll get started. I would like to show you something today. Today we'll be drawing an algorithm that's called NeuroTree, but we'll have a twist to that. So first, I suggest on the piece of paper, we'll draw 2 frames. So I would say somewhere maybe 1.5 inches from the borders, so a couple centimeters. We'll draw a frame, doesn't have to be perfect, and then we'll draw another frame. In NeuroGraphica, there is a trick like that where you could basically make the frame of your drawing smaller because it will take you quicker time to finish the drawing, but there are also other aspects to that that I will share in a few minutes. So we'll be drawing our purpose tree, and we'll start with neural lines. We'll start with the roots and we'll start growing our tree. So just Start collecting the lines, shaping up our tree. And for now, we're drawing within our smallest frame. Our neural lines, they are very bionic. They do not repeat on any of its intervals. And we're starting to grow our purpose tree. Once you have a shape of a tree, we can start thinking about what are the sources of our purpose. And if you remember, in a Purpose to Impact program, we talk about the resources. We talk about the challenging moments in our life where purpose was alive. So think about that and maybe start putting the sources of our purpose in our roots. Those will be our resources. So we can think about the moments and the stories. Instead, drawing circles that represent the sources of your purpose. You can also think about the proudest moments, the magical moments of childhood. And kind of mark for yourself what those shapes mean. What did you think about? Did you remember a story that you shared? Do you remember the way you thought about that story before you shared it? And then after? And after you have drawn what would feel like enough of the sources, you'll cover them with their neural lines so there are no straight marks. And also, we can start rounding our intersections. So this step of NeuroGraphica is very soothing usually. We round up all of the intersections. Remember, we're sending a message to our subconsciousness. So if there is a conflict anywhere, we can always resolve it. No matter what is sent our way, we're able to figure it out. And this way, we just go round through all intersections and round. Where you see there is not enough lines, you add lines. In NeuroGraphica, we say that the higher number of lines determine the quality of the outcome. So the more lines you add, or basically brain power you raise while drawing, the more energy you raise. And check in with yourself. Now that you already have sort of a shape of your tree, of your purpose tree, you have the sources of your purpose on your paper. Recalled something that is very meaningful to you. Maybe you thought of your childhood moments. Maybe you thought of your proudest moments where purpose showed up. How do you feel now? Do you feel in your body? I'm feeling a little trembling. My hand is shaking a little bit. I feel a little bit nervous recording this. I'm very excited about it. get nervous. Connect with those moments that you just put on into your roots. So this is how you discovered your purpose, how you finally uncovered it. It's something that's always been with you, but finally you put words to that. You looked at that. There is this clarity that has appeared, that your unique gift, your superpower, that essence of who you are. And if you feel like adding more sources of purpose, feel free. It's more about checking in with yourself and feeling, what else would I like to add? In NeuroGraphica, we model a lot. Basically, we take a look at what it is and say, do I like it this way, or do I like to change? For example, I'm looking at this source, and I'm thinking it actually has more power to that. So I'll just make it bigger, because that's the moment that is the key to me. When I think about it, I step into my purpose. It becomes so visible. It becomes so clear. And I'm also looking that I'd like to add something here. Add neural line to make it very bionic, very alive, like lines in nature. When you look at, for example, the map, the physical map, and you see the outlines of rivers, when you look at the mountains, you see the outlines of mountains. There is that line that is never straight. It's very alive, very nature-like. So those are like our neural lines. That you've collected your sources here and reconnected to what was that moment when you got clarity on your purpose. We can start going up and also rounding all of the intersections as we come along. There is an aspect of this algorithm of the purpose trees that we go from the bottom to the top. We basically grow our tree. From the very roots to the very top. And as we go up, we start thinking about the aspects that our purpose is bringing to life, or something that our purpose is asking us to do. In what areas of your life do you feel purpose shows up right now? Is there anything that your purpose has been calling you to do recently and you've been pretending that you don't hear? Maybe it's inconvenient. Maybe it requires some actions. And pay attention how you feel. How is the temperature in your body? Do you feel hot? Do you feel cold? How is your breath? Are you holding it? Are you exhale heavily? I noticed in myself that I was holding my breath for a little bit and then I exhaled as if I just released something. And I'm thinking about, what is my purpose asking me to do these days? Quite a bit. So this is the project. Feels very big. It's actually related to sharing NeuroGraphica with others. NeuroGraphica comes from a Russian psychologist, architect, and it's very popular in Russian-speaking countries. And it's not quite as known in English-speaking countries. And whenever I think about my purpose, I think about that. You know how we always say, what is one thing that only you can do? It's not to say that only I can bring NeuroGraphica to the English-speaking countries, but it's one of the things that I can support. Because I had an opportunity to go through the program, become a certified NeuroGraphica instructor. It's now available in English as well, just not as widely known. And I feel that it's an effective way to clear the fog. It just helps us connect with this very, very authentic part of ourselves. We go into some sort of a very deep meditation state. We're awake, we're drawing, something is going on, something very deeply authentic. And what else can you think that would be the fruit of your purpose tree? Could be some results, could be some actions, some projects, making something happen. Everyone will have something of their own, but when you think about your purpose and your purpose tree, what fruits does it bear? And I'm drawing another circle. I don't know what it is. In NeuroGraphica, we say when something becomes visible on paper, it means that your subconsciousness already knows what it is. You might not yet just realize what it is for yourself right now, but somewhere on some deep level, it's already happened. It's already known. And I think it's time for me to mention what our borders meant. So, except for, besides the fact that I wanted to make my page smaller to expedite the process, I also wanted to show you the trick. If we name our frame right now, this would be the limit of possible. And this will be the limit of impossible. So now, if I grow my tree beyond the border of possible, beyond the border of impossible, I start drawing and crossing these lines. I'm going outside of the box here. And as I draw the lines, I check in with myself. How do I feel? What's happening in my body? Oh my God, I'm shaking. It's as if I'm crossing the border of possible. I'm crossing the border of impossible. What is beyond the impossible that my purpose is asking me to do? And I grew my branches and I'm gonna grow my roots because I need very, very strong root system to support those giant fruits that I produced on my tree. Oh. So try crossing these borders and notice how you feel now. I feel as if I just stepped outside of the box. I touched upon something that was not reachable before. Very exciting and scary. And again, I'm looking at my tree, I'm looking at this giant fruits, and I feel like my roots need to be stronger to support this tree, to bear those fruits. And I'm also looking and thinking that my tree is very thin. I need to be steadier, making the trunk of my tree thicker. And how do I feel while doing that? Makes me feel more grounded, more sturdy. That feeling more confident that that's possible. Adding more branches. Trunk even thicker, sturdy, solid. Pay attention to your breath. What thoughts are crossing your mind now? How is it related to your purpose? How are you feeling? What emotions are you experiencing? You can add more fruits to your tree. Again, you may understand what they mean. If you don't know what they mean, that's okay as well. Just check in with yourself. Is there something else you would like to add? Sometimes we start drawing and kind of the shapes start appearing for themselves. You look at the way lines are intersecting, it's as if there is a shape over there that's just coming through. Let it come out. Again, we're crossing our limits of possible and impossible. We're now in the territory of beyond impossible. How does that feel? It's a very cool trick in NeuroGraphica when we draw a frame for ourselves to intentionally break through. It's like breaking outside of the box. I frequently do that to myself. I just love that feeling that I can step outside of the box. The first time I did it, it's like, what? You can do that? With so much excitement. And now I'm treating it as more like practicing the muscle of stepping outside of the box. For it to become a skill, basically. So once you have rounded up all of the intersections and you've collected the number of shapes of your fruits that feels right, we will start going to the next step and getting our colors in. So I think I'm going to add more resources. I feel like my tree was standing and now there are not enough resources in the roots. I feel like I'm adding more. Yeah. They're huge. And they are, some are beyond the limit of possible, some are beyond the limit of impossible, but it just feels right. It feels like my tree is sturdy this way. Yeah, it feels good. Again, I added shapes. I need to round them up again to avoid all of the intersections. Here. Do I know the sources of purpose here? I can't even name them. They are beyond the impossible. It's almost like something coming through from past lives. But it just feels something that beyond this lifetime. Yeah, check in with yourself. What emotions are you experiencing right now? How do you feel in your body? How's your breath? What are you thinking about? And now we'll get our pencils in and start adding color. The rule in NeuroGraphica when adding color is you add a color in 2 or more nearby shapes. So basically, we need to connect our these little pieces into bigger shapes. So for example, just to show you, we'll start connecting them. So 2 or more together. And you can pick any colors you would like. You can consciously look at your pencils and pick the one you like, or you can close your eyes and pick whatever your hand is drawn to. It's up to you. In here to color my sources, I didn't have to color them all in one color. I could just do half of it, third of it. So there is no rule here except for 2 or more pieces together need to be connected. I'm gonna go to my, show you, take a look at my yellow. This is how short it is. I use it a lot. Start adding colors. Checking in with yourself. How do you feel? How does your body feel right now? And if you are consciously, intentionally selecting colors, ask yourself, what does this color mean to you? And what kind of energy it brings? Why did you pick this particular color? And you can go with color anywhere, right? I did the bottom, I'm jumping to the top. I'll go back to the bottom then. As long as I'm not creating like a mosaic-like piece where it's just one piece at a time. As long as I'm always connecting two or more pieces, it's all good. And then when I go back to my fruits, what color do I want this one to be? Why is that? What does it mean to me? What are you thinking about right now? How is that connected to your purpose? We just start filling up, gaining colors in our tree. You don't have to cover everything, because white is also a color. You could leave some spaces blank. It's up to you. As long as you understand why, as long as it feels right, you don't even have to understand why. As long as it feels like that's the way I want it, that feels right. That's the way I like it. Looks beautiful that way. Or maybe you'll assign a meaning to it. That white will be, I don't know, a blank canvas, starting a new beginning, or whatever meaning you'll assign to that. And I'm realizing now that I feel like there is more fruits that's asking to be born on my tree. Ah, there is one here that I would like to add. And then there is one here that is so big that it doesn't even fit. And it's okay, because I'll just mark part of it here and my mind will add the rest. So I don't know that it went there. There is more. Basically, my tree doesn't end here. It keeps growing. That's how wonderful our mind works. It fills in the blanks. And that big one, I'm picking a color for it. What are the fruits on your tree? This is the fruit born in your purpose tree. Whenever you add new lines, you might create new intersections, just round them up, creating our neurographic pattern. Go down, take a look, check in with yourself. How do you feel now? What are you thinking about? How's your body feel? Would you like to add anything else? Is this enough of resources? Do you have enough of the fruit? Or do you think some more asking to be born? And now I'm thinking to fill in my trunk. Alumni is I'm connecting to a more nearby cells. I'm good. And you can add as many colors as you'd like, as many as feels right, as many as look beautiful to you. So take a look, what colors do you pick? Is there any rhyme or reason to them? I'm looking, I'm like picking all over the place. Bright. Sometimes I go that way. Sometimes I pick 2 or 3 and just work with those. But today I feel very bright. Purpose has cleared the fog and the sunshine is all out. Think about what your purpose means to you. Because those words that we wrote, they might mean something to you and you only, right? All of the images that come through your mind, all of the memories that come rushing through, they all make you smile. Now that we have covered the colors, we do need to make sure that our tree is connected to the outside world, basically. What I mean by that, we have a tree, and right now it stands in the middle of nowhere. It's basically hanging somewhere. I'm gonna draw the line of my horizon. No, this will be the earth, so the ground level. I'm putting my tree into the ground. I don't want it to be hanging in the air. And also, I'll draw some lines. That is the line of the horizon. And my horizon will cross the line of possible cross the limit of impossible. And this way I'm connecting my tree to the outside world. We also, when we draw NeuroGraphica and we have some shapes, we always need to connect them into the field. And that represents that we are not living in a vacuum. We are living in a society, and a lot of aspects of our life rely on other people, are for other people. Always take all shapes and connect them out. Check in with yourself how you feel. Actually want to add a sun. I'll have a sun somewhere. Connect that sun with a few lines. Again, round up anywhere where it created intersections. And add colors again if you want to. I do. All right. Here is my sun shining bright. And then my lines of the horizon. Actually, I want it darker. How do you feel now? Does your body feel? I have this childhood curiosity. I'm like, oh, I crossed beyond the lines. And it's okay. Yeah. It's my earth. Holding my roots steadily. My purpose tree standing stronger than ever. Since I always need to have two more pieces together and I have only one left here, I'm just going to make this intentional pieces, maybe even break it up even more. And add the color there. When I talk about NeuroGraphica and the algorithm, there are specific steps that we are going through. I'm not boring you with the theory. You can just follow along. But there are very specific steps that we go through to make sure it works as intended. I feel like I need to make the sun obvious. Here is my sunshine. I just added a lot more work for myself, but that's okay. As the sun is giving a life force to my purpose tree, giving it light so it goes stronger, so I don't mind spending a little bit more time on it. Rounding up all of the intersections that I just created. And forward. All right. So we've rounded pretty much everything. We've gotten our colors in. We've connected our tree to the outside world. The next step is to add what we call field lines. Field lines in NeuroGraphica are lines that go, basically you either pick some lines on your drawing or draw additional lines, but those represent the universal power, basically. If you believe in God, those are the support from God, or the something that is bigger than us, something, the energy that is we cannot control. It's very wise, it's very helpful. So think about where you would like to put those field lines in. I am gonna put them through my tree, and I will pick, for example, it's gonna go from this. So what I'm doing is I'm making one of the existing lines thicker. You don't have to use existing line, you can add a new one, but we think about where would we like to put those field lines through our drawing and make that line visibly thicker. And think about, this is the universal power, universal wisdom that I am putting through my purpose tree. Also, check in with yourself how you feel when you draw this line. I usually feel like extra level of support, feel usually the confidence that everything will work out. Some people start feeling resistance on this point, and that's usually for people who do like to control everything, who do like to know what's happening and how it's happening, and maybe releasing that control is difficult. Just check in how you feel. It's not good or bad. It's more about building your awareness about it. When you add this line, it creates usually some more intersections, some more corners that need rounding. Just check in, make sure they are rounded. So I have one. I feel like I want more. There is no rule about how many of them. I find that usually somewhere between 2 and 5 usually feels right. So we're just making a few lines on the drawing thicker and assign it a meaning of a universal support. Wise force that is there to support us, to support our purpose tree. The one that knows better than us. The one that works in a way that is best for everyone involved. And also, as you draw that, take a look at where does this line go through? Because we usually either intentionally or unintentionally put it through the most important aspects in our drawing. So take a look at what resources did it touch for you and what fruits is it supporting. And then take a look and see, is there another one that you would like to put through your drawing? Do you feel enough? I feel I need one more. Balance out, and it will give extra support to my tree. So thicker line, extra support. Then when you're done with the field lines, you can take a look at your drawing and kind of see what is the most important part of your drawing for you. Maybe at some part you realize something, there was an insight, there was a realization about something that is very important. Or what feels right? What is the graphical solution of your intention? I was drawing with intention to connect to my purpose, to reconnect to it. It has so much power and energy holding. I wanted to connect to that power, to gain that source of energy, to get reignited, re-excited. What feels most important to you? For me, I feel like around here, those are the results, those are the actions that my purpose was calling me to do. I feel those are the most important. I feel very excited about that. So I will draw a circle here that will touch upon, will look like this. And this will be my fixation. So that will be the focal point of my drawing. So when we draw that final focal point, this is where we do it with the thickest line on the whole drawing. So this is basically the result. What was the drawing all about? What is the most important realization for you here? And you make that shape. You could either pick one of the shapes that are already in your drawing. Maybe one of the fruits is the most important. Maybe one of the resources is the most important. Maybe the tree itself is very important to you, and you would kind of make it thicker and make it the main focal point. For me, I'm choosing this area that has a little bit of sun, a little bit of air, and those fruits that I drew in my tree, those are the most important for me. So here, I'm just making it super, super thick to make it a focal point with the width of the line. So when I look at my drawing, like here, this is the focal point. This is my result. This is what I want to take away from my drawing. These are the fruits. These are the actions that my purpose is calling me to do. I feel very excited about them. I feel aligned. I feel that they are truly mine. Nobody is asking me to do this. It's coming from within. It feels right. I'm working on making this focal point the thickest line on the drawing. Check in with yourself. How do you feel now? What emotions are you experiencing? How does your body feel? I feel much warmer than at the beginning, and the temperature in the room didn't change, but I feel like I warmed up from inside. I still have that excitement that in the beginning was kind of nervousness. Now it's more, it's a little bit of that left, but I find myself smiling. I got reminded of how it feels to be connected. To be empowered by something from within, connected with myself. Feels good. So once you have done your focal point, I could go here thicker with the line to make it really stand out. But for the purpose of timing, I'll say that this is good enough. The next step, and we're almost at the end, is the styling step. At this point, you make it beautiful. So you go and you touch up your drawing to make it look beautiful to you. In this point, I usually go back to my colors, add shades, add sort of dimension to my drawing. So for example, since I said that this is the most important part to me, I'm gonna go back and make it extra bright. This is my project that came up as the very first one. I know exactly what it is. And I'm going to make it slightly brighter to make it have a shape. And then I'll touch upon this one. Basically adds a little bit of a dimension to my drawing. Go a little bit here. And this step can continue longer and longer. I could get stuck on this for a long time because at this point I make it pretty. Since I do like the sun so much, I could go back to my sun, make that brighter. You can add dimensions, add shading to your shapes to make them look round. Make sides a little darker. You can mix colors. You can spend some time here. It's up to you. Once you are done making it look pretty to you, we're gonna back to the very, very last step of our drawing. At the end of each drawing, we go back to our notebook where we wrote our words, and we're gonna do exactly the same again. I'm gonna time us for 2 minutes. I'm gonna ask you to write everything that comes to your mind. Unfiltered. I'll call it done. All right, timer. Notebook a timer. Take a look at your drawing. Recall everything that came to your mind. Recall how you felt doing that, what you experienced in your body. Take a deep breath. And I'll start the timer. We'll start writing unfiltered everything that comes to our mind. And done. All right. Take a look at your words. Count them really quickly to make sure that you have 20 or more. Take a look at the words, see if anything repeated. I have so many words repeat over and over again. So mark for yourself. What is, if there are any words repeated, what are they? How do you feel emotional right now? What do you feel in your body right now? Now, taking a look at your words. What is the emotional charge of your words? Is there anything that surprises you? Now, write down a takeaway for you from this drawing. This step is the most interesting for people who begin drawing NeuroGraphica. You take a look where you started, and then you take a look where you ended. And the difference here is the work that you've done on your drawing. So take a minute, write down a takeaway. What is the most important realization you've discovered for yourself? And what are the steps that you would like to take as a result of this drawing? All right, I'm back with you. If you've had enough time to write down your insight, great. If you need a couple more minutes, put the video on pause and write down, what was the insight? What was the most important? What did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about your purpose? What are you going to do about it? Are there any steps that you need to take very soon to move that forward? And I want to thank you for being with me today and look forward to doing it again with you. Thank you.